and literally said, I don't think China is stealing your fucking, deviant art submissions. But everyone immediately goes back to, no, China is stealing my deviant art submissions. This is how big businesses get to tell Americans that China is stealing your IP, and then they can get mad. Everybody gets mad and thinks, oh, IP theft is unacceptable. Ironically enough.
Is
the IP theft not a real concern, though? Are you the CEO? Are you the inventor of a are you a patent holder of sorts? Why would that be a concern to you? No, actually, explain to me in your words why IP theft, that isn't even theft if it's like acknowledged and a part of the process, why would that be a concern to you? We call this in the medical sector, okay, in medical patenting, we call this generics, okay? That's what that is. In the medical patent world, what you are describing is generics. You are saying that you are against generics. Do you not like generic drugs? Do you only want brand name drugs forever? What kind of impact would Chinese IP theft have on you? What kind of impact would Chinese IP theft, if this was real to begin with, if this was a real issue to begin with, like that our companies were just led by some of the dumbest people on the planet, that I guess not me personally, but yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it's a way to just say something and hope that no working class individual ever thinks about it beyond the point that they're making, where they're like, oh, okay, how does this impact me in a negative way? Also, do you think that the American capital owners, like the American billionaire class and the millionaire class that ship manufacturing overseas, were just like blindsided by this? Do you think that after fucking 40 years of manufacturing, where they're still manufacturing in China and still complaining about IP theft on the other side, do you feel like at a certain point, maybe you're fighting a battle that they're not fighting? Or are they just the dumbest people on the planet where they're like, well, I don't get it. They're doing IP theft. Okay. Brother, you're there. You're building it there. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you think the sneaky shy comrades were able to be like, no, we won't steal your IP, of course. And then they kept doing it. And then everybody was like, oh, no, they're stealing it. But also, maybe they won't steal it next time. Like, is that what you think was going on? And that's why they continued manufacturing in China? They cry about IP theft because why don't you care about my profits doesn't have the same ring to it. Exactly. Maybe after the first decade, you should have been like, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't build stuff here. Because after the first decade, okay, no, it's a genuine concern with regards to RP for technology and software. Ask Murad that question. Do you think Murad is going to be able to change my mind on this? Do you not know what my attitude towards IP is? I don't want there to be any digital enclosures of any sort. I don't believe in enclosures of any sort. I wish that we could have a global distributive system where everyone was working with the same goal, advancing humanity, okay, with no care or consideration for short-term profit seeking. Theft is theft. No. What do you mean theft is theft? By extension, are you saying we should do away with copyright as well? Oh, don't get me fucking started. Yes, China taking the IP was always part of the exchange. You are naive if you don't realize that. I'm a firm and committed supporter of open source everything. Okay? That's what I believe. There would never be need for patents at all if there was no profit incentive in mind. Like, that's it. Trash take. That's your worst take. Trash take. I know. Here come Here come the tiny artists who think that like copyright or IP theft actually protects them against big corporations, and it's not just a way for big corporations to keep churning out profits. I know they're coming after your furry drawings. Thank God for IP protections. I know it's happening. Oh. Also, open source has shown that tech can develop at a much faster rate instead of being hamstrung by IP trolling corpos. Yeah, that's precisely the reason why, ironically enough, the fucking AI monsters unironically want no IP protection right now. And then once they suck up all the data that's readily available, then they want to paywall it. How the fuck do you think open source AI, how do you think AI works? Like, there is definitely an argument that I will entertain as far as protecting your labor, okay? For a time period. COVID vaccine is a prime example of IP getting in the way of medically advancing the drug across nations to end the pandemic. Yeah, it's another example. It's kind of funny because we then turn around, we turn around and talk about like IP theft as though this is a real theft and not a handshake agreement where both parties consented to exactly what's happening. But then Americans will just like yell about it over and over again without ever really thinking about it.
Because J.D. Vance, true to form, was even more of a dick.
Hey, I sell jewelry at Mega Nesty, and Chinese IP theft is a real problem for people doing the same, specifically from Chinese companies. Please address the argument you were waiting to entertain. It's really rich when you consider the jobs where you do nothing and have free time, where you sign works for hire contracts. What? It's okay for your Etsy shop. I am now in support of global IP protections for your Etsy shop. I hope that you can take it to some international court. Like, I make American manufactured, union made merchandise. Okay? And that merchandise directly gets sucked up by Redbubble and is also sold on those websites, on those Chinese drop shipping websites. They do it. They do it all the time. You can get it for $5, $10, however many dollars it costs. Okay? There's nothing I can do about it. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Where if you want the real thing and everything else that is associated with it, you get it from that website. If you don't have money to get it from that website because you don't have $35, then yeah, get it from China. Nothing I can do about it. You are a millionaire. Of course, IP theft doesn't affect your well-being. Sometimes take the dumbest stance just to own the libs of Megalol. No, you dumb fuck. It is, first of all, what fucking millionaire doesn't care about their own profit margins? It's because I have a very different attitude towards this sort of thing. That's the example that I'm making. That's the example that I'm giving. Directly, every fucking aspect of my commentary or the things that I do here, okay, I release the IP on so that there can be a fucking robust Hasanabi Clips industrial complex. Why do I do that? I could be making infinitely more money if I retained ownership over my own intellectual property and refused and use the pre-existing copyright system to take down every single channel that comes in, clips this shit, and posts it, and then monetizes it. Okay? And I had this exact same principle when I wasn't making money, and I have this exact same principle when I am making money. The idea that like, oh, well, you make money so it doesn't fucking matter is so stupid. No, this is just a difference in opinion that I have that has not changed with the amount of money that I make over time. Yeah. Millionaires don't care so much about IP protection that Disney doesn't even seem to have lobbied to ever update intellectual property laws. Yeah, famously. Famously, rich people don't care about IP. That's why they always volunteer it. The entire point is that the fucking IP defense actually doesn't help you as much as you think it does. It is designed in a way to create enclosures around any sort of idea so that someone much more powerful and much wealthier than you can make money. I hope to live in a world where IP is not even a consideration. You understand? Where that's not even a problem. That's what my advocacy is. Because if you were making art for the sake of art, which obviously no one is at this point, like where all of your material needs are met, then this is not an issue for you at all. Obviously, we don't live in that reality, so I'm understanding of some of the safeguards that are in place. But make no mistake, that's the fucking goal. The goal is so you don't have to worry about these sorts of things at all. Because I think that that is how we truly evolve. Ideas building on top of one another. The way you smack down that commenter about your merch not being affected has me questioning your understanding of people that are not millionaires. Dude, what are you talking about? Do you think this has anything to do with me being a millionaire, or do you think this has something to do with me not caring about IP? What the fuck is wrong with you? When have you ever met a millionaire or a billionaire, for that matter, who hasn't cared about IP? Do you think millionaires and billionaires sit around and go, yeah, I don't care about actually retaining profit over this thing? The fuck is wrong with you? I don't care. That's my point. That's my argument. I don't care. And I'm understanding of people who do, especially when they don't have any money whatsoever. And this is their only fucking way of making money. Do you think that this is a normal attitude that everybody has? Do you think, like, that's why the other chatter bringing up the Disney example was perfect? Think about it. What fucking YouTuber you know that doesn't actually manufacture their products in China oftentimes and also greatly mark it up on top of everything else? And it's not even just the t-shirts. It's literally directly what I do, right? I don't maintain copyright over my own commentary either. There's not a single instance of someone rich or poor that is like, oh yeah, I don't really give a shit about it. If you want to make money, it's great. Oh, this is the dumbest version of this argument, for the record, was when someone said, oh, you don't care about higher taxes because you're rich. That was, I think, the dumbest argument I've ever encountered on this broadcast. It made me fucking reset my brain for a little bit. Like, that's not an argument. You're not making an argument that is based in reality, okay? What rich person do you know that advocates for these sorts of things? You won't be able to relate to chatters until you stop reading? I think I won't be able to relate to this chatter until I fucking start banging my head on a wall. Your product is yourself, though. What about writers, artists, and musicians who get their products stolen? Genuine question, don't hate, please. Dude. You want to know how I made all this money? This right here. Do you know what this is? OBS, okay? It's open source. That's how I made all the money. You understand? And also, like I said, I don't even retain copyright over this. This right here, what you're watching currently, this right here, you could just fucking rip and post on a YouTube channel, as many do, and monetize. And I literally do turn around and advocate for your continued monetization whenever YouTube comes after you unjustifiably and tries to take you down. So what the fuck are you talking about? Every small business owning artist in my chat is now up in arms and wants to kill me because of my takes on IP that I have repeated a million times over. IP protections for small business owners that are artists themselves, artisans themselves. That is helpful, albeit marginally, for you. It's majorly helpful for big business owners. I was joking. Nobody believes that shit, right? No, everybody believes that. Yes, there are a lot of people who believe that in here. You know what I mean? In a world where there was, in a world where all of your material needs were met, you would do this just for the sake of not money, but you would do what you're doing for the sake of credit. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be fairly compensated for their work. I think they should be. I do think, however, that IP in and of itself is another form of enclosures and unfortunately gets used and abused by big business for the most part, rather than used as a way for small artisans and artists to be able to defend their intellectual property. I'm much more understanding of IP or some kind of patent structure for something like art as opposed to tech and medicine and things of that nature. Why do people get so sensitive about your opinions, not a groundbreaking take? Because it feels like people that, like everything else that I say, feel as though I'm coming after them directly, individually, hurting them, hurting their business, hurting their livelihood. Every time we have an IP conversation, this comes up. And people get mad at me and say, dude, you just want me to die. No, you're being obtuse and not nuanced. That's a bad faith take from you, which is disappointing. Can you please read my actual question? You're not discussing the actual point. Why does SAG-AFTRA go on strike? Come on, dude. Every conversation inevitably has to devolve into this. When I clocked it ahead of time and literally said, I don't think China is stealing your fucking, deviant art submissions. But everyone immediately goes back to, no, China is stealing my deviant art submissions. This is how big businesses get to tell Americans that China is stealing your IP, and then they fucking get mad. Everybody gets mad and thinks, oh, IP theft is unacceptable. Ironically enough, you are a yapper, not an artist. You will never understand how most artists feel about their own shit. It is an emotional topic for a lot of people, but then again, we're talking about China bootlegging our washing machine and microwave, which is a completely different subject. I don't know how the corpos did it, but they very successfully got Zoomers to love copyright and hate piracy compared to millennials. Yeah, I literally, I am a firm believer in the Gaben, Marxist-Leninist Gabenist thinking, okay? In terms of piracy being a service problem, I fully agree with it. When I was growing up in Turkey, I would have never been able to play these video games if it wasn't for piracy. So it's going to be very difficult to convince me that piracy is bad. It allows so many people to experience the same joys that other people experience as a direct consequence of being able to get it by stealing it. So it's great. I think what a lot of you guys get mad about is corporations doing that, like big businesses doing that, stealing from artists. Game piracy is tough nowadays. I don't even know because I have no need for it because I have money and I live in America. Main issue with no IP in USA, you get large corporations vacuuming up all the content and profiting off of it. I mean, irony is that they do that already. They do that all the fucking time. It's really fucked up. Didn't you have an issue with Hasanabi Archive like a couple days ago? Yes, because they're a fucking bot account and they literally engage in false DMCAs of other fucking free Hasanabi Clips Industrial Complex accounts. That's my issue. It's literally a fucking AI bot account. I don't give a shit that it exists if it just like was any other content creator. How do you not know this? Use your brain, please. Yes, I hate evil robots. That's exactly what my smoke is here.